Good afternoon, everybody. Hello and welcome to the June edition of Behind the Sign presented by Better Business Bureau. My name is Cameron Nakashima. I am the Media Engagement and Digital Campaigns Manager here at Better Business Bureau, Great West and Pacific, and I'm thrilled today to host Save Time, Grow Faster, AI Strategies for Small Business Owners. I ran across a study the other day that said that 70% of small and medium-sized businesses are not using AI at their companies. And the reason why? The first reason, they don't feel that AI will grow their business. And the second, well, they don't understand how to use it. Well, we are going to change that today. Marketing expert, creative director, and author DP Knudten is here to teach us how to harness the real value of AI so that we're going to get more done and wow our customers with less, and doing it all without getting burnt out. I'm very excited to introduce DP, but before I introduce him, there are a few things I want to cover. Number one, we want to say thank you to all of our BBB accredited businesses. Each of you are committed to living out BBB's standards for trust, and because of that, we are committed to helping you grow your business. And as a reminder, you'll be able to watch today's webinar recording afterwards. We will be emailing you each a link once everything is done processing. So keep an eye on your email this afternoon. And finally, we want to hear from you. These webinars are always more fun and rewarding when we get to talk to you and answer your specific questions. We'll set aside 15 minutes at the end of the webinar for DP to answer your specific questions. And since I mentioned him again, we'll go ahead and officially introduce today's speaker. DP Knudten has worked for some of the biggest and smallest brands in the business, including Coca-Cola, the Athlete's Foot, the Closet Maid, and he served as a writer and creative director for some of the nation's most influential ad agencies. DP enjoys playing in the intersection between the visual and verbal, using his nonfiction branding approach to move people and products. He's the author of the popular book, Rotoma, the ROI of Social Media, Top of Mind, and Nonfiction Brands. He's also the creator and host of the top performing podcast, the Rotoma Podcast, and Nonfiction Brands. DP, thank you so much for joining us today. I will turn the stage over to you.
Well, thanks very much, Cameron, and thanks to everybody at the Better Business Bureau. I'm so thrilled that you asked me to come on and talk about this because, frankly, I share a lot of the concerns that I think some of your members may have, specifically about, is AI just another shiny technological object that now is going to waste my time and energy and mental space? Or is it going to actually help me convert customers into loyal lifetime customers? Is it going to help my cash register ring? Is it going to help my employees perhaps do more effectively without burning them out? Well, the answer to that is, yeah, AI can do all that, or it can do the other. The real question you have to ask is, what do I want it to do? And how can I make sure I'm using this incredible new tool the best way? So with that said, I'm going to go click over into my content sharing and hold on just one moment as we get started here, and hopefully this will go. Screen sharing has been disabled. That doesn't make sense. Hold on. I think, well, anyway, hopefully we can get the screen sharing figured out. But my whole presentation is designed to be very visual so that it can really make things impactful for everyone. But I want to talk to you about reframing how you think about AI. Well, first of all, AI, what is it? Well, at its very basic, it's artificial intelligence. What does that mean? Well, in the case of when it comes to computer technology, the definition of AI is something that is the intelligence of machines or software as opposed to the intelligence of humans or other animals. It is a field of study in computer science that develops and studies intelligent machines. Such machines may be called AIs. Well, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the machines that are called AIs. Now, the one that's gotten the most print, if you will, when it comes to public awareness, you probably have heard of ChatGPT, and maybe you've played around with it a little bit. Well, what is ChatGPT? It is a chat-based artificial intelligence large language model that allows you to chat with it to get outputs. And they call the chats from our side, the human side, prompts. So what we want to do is prompt the AI to actually do something. Now, what can you do with AI? Well, you can do just about anything that you would of going to a local library and ask them for something like, can you give me a list of all the most popular tourism destinations on the West Coast? Yeah, a librarian can do that. But you can also say, can you recommend for me a 1-day trip to Los Angeles? I would like to go to 3 restaurants, one for breakfast, one for lunch, and one for dinner. I would love to do something in the morning and something in the afternoon. What would you recommend? And all of a sudden, you've got this AI that's working like a tour guide or like a tourist agency, a travel agency that can give you all that as well. So it's incredibly interesting. It's really fascinating to work with. And it's also something that has a lot of people a little bit scared. Now, if you're old enough to remember the Terminator movies, we all know that when AI went sentient and became Skynet, it had no need for humankind anymore. Well, I'm happy to say that that is a movie that is not the facts of where things are and how things are going to work with AI. But when it comes to marketers, what can you do with it? Well, here's the thing about AI. It's only as good as the prompt you give it. Meaning, if you treat AI like a very, very smart person that can help you out and have a conversation through Chat GPT, for example, you can have a lot of great information. But here's the thing, the dirty little secret about AI is it's only as good as the data it has gathered over time. In fact, ChatGPT 3.5, which has now been supplanted by ChatGPT 4, ChatGPT 3.5 actually closed down its accumulation of new knowledge in January of 2022. So if you're looking for information over the last several years, you're not going to get it in Chat 3.5 because it locked down its large language model. That said, you can still get a ton of information from ChatGPT 3.5 for free because it's still available, especially for people to try out. And it's really quite amazing. And let me tell you a true story. I've been a writer and a creative director in advertising and marketing for going on 30 years. So it was right after the dinosaurs died out. That's when I started my career in advertising and marketing. Well, here's the thing. I always thought AI will never write as well as a human being. It just won't happen because human beings are full of nuance and emotion. And even amongst human beings, not all human beings write well. There are people who find out they write well and they get a job and they get paid for writing well. So I just didn't worry about AI at all. Then ChatGPT 3.5 was released out to the world for playing around with or beta testing basically. And I, like everybody else, thought, okay. And I just gave it a prompt like write a story about the Battle of the Little Bighorn or something like that. And all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, there's this whole story that was written what I would consider to be 90% good. Maybe it's not perfect. Maybe it's lacking in style. Maybe it's a little bland. Maybe it's lacking a little bit of flavor. But still, it was like, oh my gosh, I thought it would take years for it to become a good writer. And basically, right now, where it is now, it writes better than probably 75% of human beings on the face of the planet. Wow. My whole mental framework for what AI was just went away and was totally changed because of the quality of that initial writing. Was it perfect? No. Could it be better? Yes. Could it be punched up by a good writer to make it that much better and more presentable? Absolutely. But still, it was like, wow, it's really serviceable. Maybe not perfect, but serviceable. Well, how does that make a difference for you? Well, the fact is that ChatGPT and AI is great for doing what I like to call the first draft or the actual cake of the cake that you're making, meaning it gets good at cooking the cake, at baking the cake, but you still need to come in and frost it because it's your touch, it's your brand, it's your feeling, it's your understanding of your customers and intuition that really make it come together and soar. And that's why you need to do AI, but always and never unsupervised. Think of it as a really smart toddler. It still needs to be supervised, especially because of what I said earlier about the fact that it closed off its knowledge bank at some time in the past. There's a Scott Galloway, who's one of my favorite podcasters and thought leaders. He has a saying, especially for people who think AI is coming for their jobs. He says, AI is not coming for your job or your business. Someone who uses AI is coming for your job or your business. And I think that's absolutely true. The fact is, we're at an inflection point when it comes to artificial intelligence. And the question you should be asking at this inflection point is, are you a user or are you one of the used? Because here's the reality. Large language models go out and scour the entire internet. It can go through and learn the data that's from anything that's ever been written in the human history and use it as part of its data set. And by the way, some of that data set may be blog posts that you've done or Twitter or X tweets, whatever you call them now. All that stuff has been poured into these artificial intelligence large language models. And right now, if you aren't using AI, don't worry, it's using you. Well, I'm here to help you come up with a way to flip that script and say, yeah, we're going to use AI for what it is. And the way to think about AI is it's like a chainsaw, an incredibly powerful tool that can still cut off your leg. Now, that doesn't mean you want to ever do that, but it's so powerful that it would behoove you to use it for the right tool, for the right way, for the right reasons. And that's what I'm here to kind of talk about today. I really mean it when I say AI today is to modern business what MS Office was in 1990. Now, for those let's just say gray, the salt and peppery people, we remember business before 1990, before Microsoft Office was the absolute, you must know how to do this to work here. To me, MS Office is the ability to tie your shoes and wipe your nose. You have to have it. There's no question about it. But before that, 1990, you didn't. Now, you might have used Lotus 123 or VisiCalc or some of these other software packages that are no longer existing. But all of a sudden, Microsoft Office came in and became the must understand, must be able to capably use, must become expert in device just to do garden variety stuff for business. That's how you should think about artificial intelligence engines that can help you the same way that Microsoft Office can make you more efficient, serve customers better, get repeat business and increased engagement. Can AI help you do this? Absolutely. So the question is, AI, are you going to lose it or are you going to use it? I recommend you use it. But here's the thing. AI is a little basic. It's a little bland. If you type in a basic prompt, it's going to be kind of like a McDonald's hamburger. Number one, it gives you the same exact answer or similar answer to anyone else who put in the same prompt. And it may be a little flavorless. It may be a little bit bland. It might be a little bit boring. Well, the thing is, it's you don't want your AI content to be the same old that everybody else gets. You want to make it something that is totally branded to you, that has your voice, your sensibility, your intuition, your experience and expertise. That needs to be folded into anything you do with artificial intelligence, because you don't want to be the same as anybody else or the same as anybody else in terms of output and quality and things like that. The thing is, your business, whether you think of it or not, is a brand. Now, some of you have probably done serious branding exercises and have nailed down the pillars of your brand and all that stuff. Others of you might be, yeah, I don't necessarily believe in branding, or I haven't done it for my business. Well, it doesn't matter, because your business has a brand. People come to you because of that brand. And so when I say brand, I recommend that you be the brand you truly are. And that is what nonfiction branding is all about. Let's talk about branding, though, for a second. When I'm talking about branding, what am I talking about? Well, a lot of people think branding is nothing more than graphic standards, consistent use of logo, color, type, themes, and taglines that are all part of a greater campaign or something like that. Well, I'm here to tell you that your brand is everything from the way you answer your phone, to what your parking lot looks like, to how your public behavior of your principals, whether it's the owner or the owner's son or anyone else, those are all part of your brand. And when I think of that, I like to think of someone like Elon Musk. You've got Elon Musk, the brand, competing against SpaceX, the brand that Elon Musk owns, that also competes against Tesla, the brand that Elon Musk owns. And the funny thing here is that Elon Musk's brand is almost eclipsing some of those others, especially his most recent acquisition, which used to be an international verb, Twitter. In comes Elon Musk. His brand is so strong and so big, and he just totally takes a verb that is in English. I mean, let's face it. What are you doing? Well, I'm reading Twitter and I'm going to tweet. He took this verb and got rid of it and changed the name of the company to X, which makes no sense to me. And I could go on forever about that. But I'm not here to do that. I'm here to say that Elon Musk's brand was so strong that it crushed the global brand that is Twitter. And the jury's still out on that. We'll see where that goes. But anyway, the whole point is, and again, if I could show you this visual, picture in your mind Thanos from the Marvel
DP,
universe. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt the presentation. Do you mind trying, just we're troubleshooting some technical difficulties on our end so that you can get your presentation up. Would you
Sure.
like to try, or would you mind trying your eCam version of the presentation so
Yeah,
people can
hold
follow
on.
along?
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm sorry about these problems, folks. This will require me to change my settings a little bit, but that's why we are here. So I'm not seeing that working. Let's see. Oh, I know why. Hold on.
All right, no stress, DP. While DP does that, I will just call out a couple of things here. With AI, there's a lot that you can do with it, as DP's started talking about, and as he's going to continue talking about here. But just wanted to talk about and get people thinking about maybe ways that they could use it to enhance their BBB profile. As he already covered, you can use it for great copywriting. It makes some great text, and we know that people are looking at business descriptions on their BBB profiles to learn more about them. And so a great way to connect with and impress clients could be to use AI when writing those descriptions.
Well, and not only that, but you can see on screen right now exactly the image that I was trying to describe. You can see it right there. This is Elon Musk, an AI generated image of Elon Musk that is available for free at Pixabay. If you don't know pixabay.com, you should, because it's a great place for images that are free. And let me tell you, I use them all the time. Who knew? I had hoped that I could find literally in my head, I said, I would love to have a picture of Elon Musk as a superhero or a supervillain. And what do I find? Boom. There it is. It's already there. Are you scared yet that I can get this for free? And here's the thing, back in the day when I was a creative director working for large agencies, an illustration like this would have cost us northwards of $1,000 and probably take 3 weeks to do with an illustrator. This I got in a second via downloading it for free from Pixabay. Amazing to me. Scared yet? Yeah, maybe you should be. Well, here's the number one goal of branding: differentiation. You need to differentiate yourself. Why? Because we're all translucent gummy bears. However, if you're the red gummy bear, you're one of one versus one of many. Here's a quick exercise I love to do for people who are brand agnostic or don't believe in branding. Let's just look at this quadrant chart quickly. Authentic up top, synthetic on the bottom, timeless on the right, and trendy on the left. 2 brands, Pepsi and Coke. Boom. I'm going to put Coke up in that quadrant. Why? Because it's the real thing. It's authentic and timeless. Meanwhile, Pepsi, the taste of a new generation, it's always trendy. It's always kind of synthetic. It's always trying to associate itself with the latest, greatest pop star or whatever. Well, here's the thing about that. These are 2 distinct positions for sweet brown water. Can you believe that? Yeah, it's true though. And the thing is, your mileage may vary on which you prefer, but guess what? A nonfiction brand foundation minimizes that variance in order to maximize market understanding, customer preference, and repeat engagement. This is what I mean by nonfiction branding. It's knowing who you are so you can be it. A lot of us, when we go market our services, we'll go out there and kind of, yeah, I'm a plumber and I do plumbing. Okay, well, guess what? There are a lot of plumbers out there that do plumbing. What makes you different? What makes you preferable? What makes you trustworthy to come into my house when I'm alone without anyone else around? And the answer is your brand. Your brand precedes you into the room and stays long after you leave the room. And that's what branding is all about. The question is, do you know who you are so you can be it? Because if you do know who you are and you've got that nailed, you're totally ready for the power of AI. Now, ChatGPT, we've already talked about that. Well, this is exactly what I mean by how you can use ChatGPT. Before I did this presentation, I asked ChatGPT to write an outline for a keynote presentation entitled Save Time, Grow Faster, AI Strategies for Small Business. That saved me a lot of work because only a few moments later, it gave me an outline that is absolutely serviceable. Again, I use the word serviceable because it's not perfect, but it's serviceable. And it's actually really strong in terms of creating a narrative arc for the presentation. Well, I thought it wasn't very specific, so I asked it a follow-up question in our chat. Can you be more specific with examples of businesses that are doing this well? ChatGPT comes back with a whole bunch of case studies that are using examples of companies that are using AIs very effectively. And by the way, I only show a couple of answers here. It went on for another 15 different examples. Wow. All this research done very quickly saved me a ton of time. That's not bad, ChatGPT, but it's also not me. But this is what I use AI for. It's a great place to start. It's a second pair of eyes, or AIs. Sorry about that. And the reality is, with AI, everyone has a new job: editor. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, AI bakes the cake. Remember I talked about AI baking the cake that you have to frost. The interesting thing about this illustration here, it was, again, this is another free illustration for Pixabay.com by Alexandra Koch, who happened to create this image using artificial intelligence. So how much time did she spend on that? I don't know. I don't care. It's beautiful. I love it. I love the fact that it's free. I plugged it in here and now I'm promoting her and her business to people like you simply because she created something in, I'm going to guess, less than 30 seconds. Amazing. Again, the number one goal of branding is differentiation, because if you think about back in the day, your brown cow looked like my brown cow. How do we tell them apart? We brand them to make them different. Well, the number one superpower of AI is amplification. It can take your budget and amplify it. It can take your time and amplify it. It can take your bandwidth and amplify it. It's so effective that way. And that's the way to look at this. It's like a super amplifier of what you already have. So here, again, ChatGPT, I ask it a question. Please make a list of all AI tools that can help small business marketing help themselves in marketing for today's marketplace. And it came up with a whole list: chatbots, content creation and optimization, social media management, and on and on and on. All of a sudden, again, I didn't have to look these up. I can now look them up, but I didn't have to do it myself. I saved myself a ton of time because I may not want chatbots for my business. I may not want, social media management, but there are some other ones that are, I got to check those out. And AI has done the heavy lifting, or the call it the searching for me, and now presents me with stuff that I can kind of put on my master pastry chef hat and frost the cake that I was creating with AI. So now let's go back and take a look at how I edited the prompt above. Name specific tools that can do all the above. And now it's given me specific tools, not just specific categories, but tools. So again, wow, it saved me time. ChatGPT has done hours of research in nanoseconds. But here's the thing. It could be hours of research that may be 100% wrong. And this is where you got to be careful. IGI Global reports that although reports indicate that AI programs can be at least 95% accurate on a regular basis, AI programs cannot determine whether or not the data being analyzed is accurate. So usually its overall accuracy is much lower, but normally higher than 80%. I'm sorry, but for a lot of us, 80% isn't good enough. And that's why you're now an editor. It can do the cake, but you still have to taste it for quality. Well, I would love to tell you exactly what to do and how to do it, but I need to go kind of back to the old drawing board of that old saying, which is it's better to teach a man to fish than give him a fish. Well, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to teach you to fish. In the age of AI, any tool of today is already obsolete. But here are a few that can amplify your time, energy, bandwidth, and budget. Now, if any of you have a podcast or do any type of audio or even go out and give speeches to clubs or organizations like the Better Business Bureau and can get a hold of that video, you can take the audio file and juice it like crazy for social media, your website, for sharing with other people, for attracting people by including it in sales processes and things like that, simply by taking that audio file and putting it into a program I love to use personally called PodSqueeze. Now, again, this is built for podcasters, but to be honest, anybody who has an audio file with human voices speaking can use this to create content from that audio. And look at that. The key word there is free. Again, they have paid versions, but I'm not recommending anything here that requires a paid version. If you take, let's say you have an expert come to your business and talk about something that your clients might find interesting. You can take that audio, plug it into PodSqueeze, and all of a sudden, boom, it's got all this stuff, full transcriptions, show notes, timestamps, titles, links and mentions, keywords, tweets, quotes, bullet points, LinkedIn posts, you name it. It's all done for you. And again, It's not perfect, but it's perfectible. And because you didn't have to bake the cake, you can now spend more time frosting it to make it just that much more presentable and that much more perfect for your audience. And the thing is, on this, you can see down here, it says see more and tune. That's where you go in and you can edit stuff like, okay, I want to change the title, Unearthing the Past. That's a little cliche. I've got a better idea. I'm going to go in and change the title or whatever it is. You can do it yourself very easily. And again, for free. If you have an audio file, there's no reason on earth that that audio file shouldn't become a huge piece that can go on your website, that can go into your social media feeds, that can be shared all over the place if you use an AI supported engine like PodSqueeze. Again, PodSqueeze's rough draft content can save you hours of time, energy, bandwidth, and especially budget for free. So again, I know that a bunch of you probably are small, let's say under 10 employees, maybe under 5, maybe just 2. The big thing about AI is it's an incredible force multiplier. If you have one person doing all your social media, that person plus AI is the equivalent of like having 5 people do it because of how much they can get done, how quickly it can get done, and the quality of it too. The other thing is, if you're not good with spelling and grammar, that's all baked right in the cake. That is AI. Its output will be grammatically correct, almost to a fault. It's almost it almost doesn't have style. But let me tell you, if you're not a good speller, having AI do your emails for you will save you a lot of sweat, pain, and embarrassment. I'm just saying. So the question is, how can you keep up with life at the speed of AI? Because things are developing so quickly now. Well, I like to do this. I follow the fastest followers. What does that mean? I don't have all day to figure out who's got the best take on AI and stuff like that. So I do what I preach, which is, I wonder if ChatGPT has some ideas. And so I prompted ChatGPT, please create a list of AI bloggers and podcasters who are doing a great job keeping up with all the latest in marketing using AI. Boom. It gives me a list of, I think, 15 different people. You can see 3 of their names on here. And these are all our thought leaders in the area of using AI for marketing specifically. That's pretty darn cool. Then these guys, I ingest a lot of my information in small little bites. Those Instagram reels from people like Socialty Pro or Brand Nat or Jonathan Mast or smarthacks.ai. Quick little bites on, hey, there's this cool site that does this specific thing utilizing AI. If I would recommend, if you can screenshot this and follow these people on Instagram. A lot of them are also on TikTok and YouTube, but Instagram's a great place to go just to get those quick bites on what's happening in AI and how can I use that effectively. Another one, a couple of recommended podcast follows. Take a screenshot of this, the Artificial Intelligence Show or the AI Driven Marketer. These are great. If you've got a commute in and want to get a little bit of a primer on what's going on with AI, listen to these people because they really know what they're talking about. And they surface a lot of things that I never would find on my own. Another person I love is Mark Schaefer. He's got businessesgrow.com. If you go there, you can get on his newsletter. It's a free email newsletter. I can't recommend it enough because he's really, really smart and got his fingers on the pulse of what's going on in marketing in general, but AI more and more because it's really taking over things in the marketing space. As I say, AI is fantastic at amplification, but what is it amplifying? Well, your nonfiction brand. Nonfiction branding is about showing and telling your best truth. And nonfiction branding is who you are, what you do, how you do it, and your real value. Nonfiction branding is defined and defended by you in everything you do and continually communicated. And that's why you need AI amplification. I want to give you this great case study. Neil deGrasse Tyson is someone I really respect because he's a personal brand who is really he's making astronomy cool, right? Well, how did he get there? Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson is a New York Times best-selling author, and he's also really a popular speaker. And I stumbled upon this on YouTube. He was at the American Natural History in American Museum of Natural History in August 28th of 2013. And he discovered that when he would get calls about, the local or national news would call and say, hey, there's a comet coming. We need someone to talk about comets. What do you have to say about it? What he discovered was, I need to put 3 sentences together that are informative, make you smile, and are so tasty you might want to tell someone else. He realized he didn't need to give a PhD dissertation on comets and stuff like that. What he needed to do was things like, this comet is coming toward our solar system. It's actually moving between Saturn and Jupiter right now, and it's going to pass, within half the distance to the moon to the Earth, and it's not going to hit us. If you got those 3 things out, guess what? You got a good talking point on the news. And that's what he learned. He needed to present astronomy and himself in 3 ideas that are so informative, make you smile, and so tasty that you might want to tell someone else. You can go on YouTube, search Anatomy of a Soundbite Tyson, and you'll find it right away. I recommend you take a look at it, because this guy, super smart. But the thing about his definition of a soundbite is it sounds an awful like a perfect definition for what I call the key 3. Now, this is where you can start creating your key 3, the 3 pillars that truly describe who you are, what you do, and how you do it. These are the 3 foundational concepts that concisely and consistently define and communicate your nonfiction brand. So let's take a huge brand, the United States of America. You can sum it up in 3 concepts: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When we're at our best as a nation, we are all about that: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Absolutely. I worked on Coca-Cola as a young copywriter, and I had to learn these words, have them emblazoned on my brain, and have them communicated in anything I ever did for Coca-Cola, because what's the difference between their brown bubbly sugar water and someone else's brown bubbly sugar water? Their brand. So what is the brand that is Coca-Cola? It's all about authenticity, the real thing, refreshment, the that is Coca-Cola. And then sociability. You always have Coca-Cola with other people at football games, picnics, family gatherings, etc. That's Coca-Cola. They always communicate those 3 ideas in everything they do. And every brand needs a defined key 3, including this dude. I'm serious. When I thought about it, you know what? I've been doing branding for others. I need to do it for myself. So what are the 3 concepts that truly define who I am, what I do, and how I do it? Well, the answer is I'm collaborative. I work with people. I have to work with other people. I'm creative. You will never get a spreadsheet from me. Why? Because I'm on the creative side of the fence. My job is to come up with the groundbreaking ideas, the exciting ideas, the ones that are so tasty you want to share them, in Neil deGrasse Tyson's words. And then provocative. I constantly have to provoke ideas. Otherwise, my value to you is not all that good. Because if I can do what you can do, I'm just redundant. I need to do what you may not be able to do, and that is provoke new ideas or new ways of looking at things. That's what I do. And so my recommendation for you, especially when it comes to AI, do fewer things, but do them better. Meaning, you don't have to do every social media channel. You have to pick the 1 or the 2 that are the most important to your audience, not to you, but the most important to your audience, and do them better. And guess what? AI can help you do that. And the other recommendation, or the other part of this recommendation, is never stop telling your completely true, completely you nonfiction brand story. The second there's an old saying in marketing, the second that you're tired of telling your story, great. That means your audience is only starting to hear it. And let me tell you something, Coca-Cola has been telling that authenticity, sociability, and refreshment story since 1886. And they still tell it because it is their truth, the true story, the completely true, the completely you story that is Coca-Cola. So where does that leave us? It leaves us at this end slide. This is my story, nonfiction brand and nonfiction branding. You can find this book on Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. But mostly what I want to do today is inspire you to take a look at artificial intelligence, specifically dabble in ChatGPT, and start asking questions that you want to know the answers to, or more importantly, that your customers want to know the answers for. Because here's the thing, I know you love to sell your products and services, but your customers buy benefits. You got to focus on the benefits. You got to flip that coin and start thinking about, okay, we sell this. What is it good for to a customer that doesn't have time, energy, bandwidth, or budget? ChatGPT or other AI sources can be a great way to figure that out. And again, I encourage you to go to some of those resources that are available for free. I always underline that for free because I'm a father of 3 daughters. Anything that's free gets my attention. And also, you really know when you should pay for it when you've maxed out the power of the free version. If you ever get to that point, go ahead and subscribe to whatever the service is because you're actually using it the way you should. Well, that's it for my talk today on AI, artificial intelligence, and the engines behind it. I hope that there's some questions that I can answer, or if you've got some questions you'd like to ask, go ahead and put them in chat because I think they're being herded by one of the people at the BBB. And let's talk. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Perfect. Thank you, DP. We'll give a few minutes for those questions to roll in. I see that we've got a couple already. But while we wait for maybe a couple more questions, I'll just kind of piggyback off of some of the things that you said and how they can apply to BBB. I already mentioned that the BBB public profile can be enhanced using AI. And something you said earlier kind of resonated with me when you were talking about how you can use AI to generate the first iteration, but then really it's you're responsible for frosting the cake,
Yeah.
and you can use that, or our people who are watching right now can use that for the get a quote tool. If you're a BBB accredited business, you have access to the Get a Quote tool, and you can use AI to more quickly and efficiently write responses back to people who are inquiring about your services. You could also use it as an iteration for some branding using the principles that DP talked about just now. And if you needed a final gloss on that, kind of a human touch, and you don't know what to do with that, well, for BBB accredited businesses, we also offer our marketing solutions. So if you haven't already, you can check those out. And there's several other ways that AI can help your business, both with BBB and in other ways. And it looks like there's a couple of questions about that. So we'll dive right in. DP, I'll ask these questions and then we'll have you answer. Okay, so the very first question, it came in towards the beginning of the presentation here. Someone has a question about the concern about maybe this is plagiarism. They ask specifically, is this not plagiarism?
Okay, a plagiarism is when you basically take someone else's work and wholesale cut and paste it into whatever you're doing, and without citation. Some very famous people like the historian Doris Kearns Goodwin got into trouble because she had some quotes in some of her books that were not cited to the original writer or the original book that came from. Oftentimes that's just a mistake. We're all humans. We make mistakes. But there are a whole lot of people that will wholesale steal your copy, if you will, and use it as their own. That's plagiarism. AI is will scrape all that stuff, meaning it will gather all that data, but it will output stuff, but it's upon you to not make it plagiarism, because basically AI is not someone else's hard-earned work. It is a predictive system that says, okay, after this word, we predict the next word is this word, and it's not sentient. It's not like someone is scratching their head. How do I say this idea best? It's actually just putting together ideas sequentially in a way that makes sense to the artificial intelligence large language model. It's up to you to then make it more human. Now, this is kind of funny because a person I know was in a situation where they were having to write an email to someone that was applying for a job with this organization, and they wanted to let them down easy, and they felt their email was a little too harsh or maybe a little too matter of fact. And so he wanted to humanize the email a little bit. So he put what he wrote into email or into an artificial intelligence and said, can you please make this more human sounding or more emotional, more heartfelt? And it churned out something in a second that he recognized when it came out of, oh, this is exactly what I wanted. I want it to hit the facts, but in a way that was a little bit gentler and stuff. To me, it was kind of funny that he used a computer to be more human. But what he was really trying to say is, I write a certain way, it comes off a little terse and maybe a little mechanical. Can you write it in a way that's a little more human, a little softer? And the answer was, yeah, it could. But still, he had to go in and verify the fact that it was exactly what he wanted to say and how he said it. Now, when it comes to plagiarism concerns with higher education or, in high school, teachers are being taught right now how to spot plagiarized or just plain artificial intelligence copy. I, as a writer, can smell computer on a lot of this stuff. But what I can't do is smell the stuff that was computer generated. It went through the writer's mind who smoothed out the edges, and then the output came out in their style and voice. There are people right now like, okay, I suspect, I don't know this to be true, I suspect James Patterson, who has always, over the past several years, worked with other writers who wrote his books based on his plot. I'm going to guess that James Patterson is going to be using AI for that. And then maybe have another human layer before it gets to him, before he has another best-selling thriller. Yeah, that's how people are going to be using AI.
That is a great answer. I think and it is that balance, right, of utilizing AI but introducing your own unique human element to it. That's personal to you and your brand, right?
Right. Well, another example is Martha Stewart, right? The queen of domesticity. She is actively working on right now MarthaBot, which is an AI based on all the writing she's ever done, all her on-camera appearances, all the transcripts of any interview she's ever given. That's being gathered into a large language model called MarthaBot. And she has been quoted saying, I'm creating MarthaBot so that when I'm gone, you'll still be able to ask me how to clean a bathroom.
That is remarkable.
Yeah, it is. But let me tell you, that's what is she doing? She's making her brand and her voice carry on beyond the grave with the power of artificial intelligence. And we're going to see more and more of this. And that's why, to me, there's going to be a bit of a backlash, or not a backlash, but there's going to be a counter to this, which is people are going to like handmade more and more, human touch more and more. So there's going to be this weird combination of, yeah, I buy this type of stuff for this because it's AI generated and fantastic, but this one is artisanal, like a fine cheese or a fine baguette. And we're going to be constantly doing both, getting the most efficient, the fastest, and the most handmade and humane. So AI can do the first, you can do the latter, and ideally you meet in the middle someplace.
That's perfect. And let's see, we'll move on to the next question here. And let's see, it was Glendora was the name of the person who sent us that first one.
Thank you,
Uh,
Glendora.
Killian sent us a kind of a recommendation here, and then I'll add a question to the end of this. Uh, Killian says, in terms of using AI for looking for answers to questions and getting more accurate answers, I would recommend Perplexity. It's an incredible search engine that cites the most up-to-date sources, super useful for research. So the question I'll tack on to the end of that is, DP, are there any specific AI search engine tools other than ChatGPT that you like to plug for coming up with ideas or doing research?
Well, because I tend to lean toward the not super specific when it comes to research because I'm not a scientist or I'm not someone who's writing academic papers and stuff like that. I'm looking for idea generators that are kind of broader. However, there are a bunch out there that are being developed. And again, I remember back in the early days of internet browsers. Do you remember the search engines you had back then where, you had to know what website you were going to be able to get there and stuff like that? We're kind of at that stage right now. And we've got a leapfrogging thing starting to happen where ChatGPT came out first in a big public way. Does that mean it's the best? No, it was the first mover. I've heard a lot of people talk about Claude, which is another one, or the other ones that Google and Microsoft are developing. And the latest one that really kind of has me excited because I'm such an Apple fanboy is what Apple, smart branding company, it's not AI, it's Apple Intelligence. It is an AI system that will use the context of your iPhone and your usage of the everything you do in the Apple universe to provide you the answers you want based on what you're actually doing. So I can't give you any hard, fast recommendations because they're changing so fast. But I will say this, start wherever you can get started and go somewhat deep on it. I talk about Chat GPT in this presentation so much because it's kind of got street level cred or notoriety, awareness from people because, again, it was the first mover. Is it the best? Not necessarily. Like if you're an academic researcher, Perplexity absolutely is something that you probably want to pay more attention to. So again, I would ask ChatGPT for your specific use case, whatever that may be.
Wonderful answer. We've got another person here. Olivia asks, do you have recommendations for paid versions of AI software that to leverage for a bookkeeping business to take on repetitive but time-consuming tasks to help grow and scale the business?
I don't specifically for that area of business because I'm not an expert in those things. But what I would do is definitely reach out to your carbon-based colleagues and see what they're finding out. This is the funny thing. The best way to leverage AI the best is to go back to the old conversations that you have with colleagues to ascertain what tools are the best. And everyone's going to have different experience and will be able to give you a better answer. That said, I would guide you to any of the clearinghouses or information sources that you regularly use with any of the accounting oriented organizations you may be already involved with. But I can't cite something right off the bat. No.
Wonderful. I think that's such a good point too of that again balancing that human touch with the AI, using your existing network of humans to weed out which ones are going to work best for you and your industry.
Yeah, and I think that's key about the whole idea of thinking of this as not some type of sentient overlord, but it's just another tool in your toolbox. Whatever your tool set is, the things you use all the time, whether your project management system is X or Y, or your accounting system is this or that, it really doesn't matter as long as you have mastered the tools. AI is nothing more than a tool. Now, a really powerful tool, but it's a tool nonetheless, and you have the power to control it. And you need to control it because it cannot take over your voice. Your voice, your brand's voice, is always the thing that you should be projecting out into the the universe. That said, some of the things you kind of implied were, yeah, well, and you mentioned, Cameron, things like bidding. Yeah, we got to do another bid. Our bids always have these 15 things, always the same, and I always have to redo them. No, you can train an AI to do that stuff, fill in the blanks, and then all you do is go through it, read through it, and double check numbers and timing and conflicts or whatever else. And that could possibly save you hours of time. Give the AI the drudgery work, or bring it into the room when you need ideas, like event planners. Oh my God, we got to come up with a new set of ideas to present to a client on themes for their big annual meeting. So what do? We get some donuts and we sit in the conference room and we throw out the same ideas. Oh, what a waste of time. 5 people in the room, that's for 2 hours, that's 10 person hours wasted. How about you spend 10 minutes with one person and an artificial intelligence that can come and say, well, for example, what are the top trends for themes for Fortune 500 company annual meetings? Guess what? ChatGPT or other artificial intelligence, engines will be able to spit out a list, and you can go, oh, I've never seen that one before. And that's the way I use AI, which is, yeah. Oh, I didn't think about that. That one I didn't think about is worth everything to me, because I know all this stuff, but this one thing I couldn't come up with, that's the exciting thing. That's what I look for. I look for the diamond in the dirt.
That's wonderful. And on the topic of crafting prompts that will help you find that diamond in the dirt, there's actually a question here. Mark asks, are there prompts that you recommend when using AI? And I'll kind of tack on to the end of that question. Is there a place that you go that's maybe got a repository of useful prompts that you've seen?
Well, the whole thing is, there is a guy, I'm going back to the slide so I can pop it up on screen. Jonathan Mast is his name, I believe. And yeah, he's the older guy with the big beard in the lower left corner. Jonathan Mast, he actually touts himself as an AI prompt expert and topical authority guide. Whenever he comes on and I see one of his videos, I go, that is so cool. I never would have thought of that. And so Jonathan Mast is a must follow, but so is brand.net or smarthacks.ai. I love all these resources as people to kind of get ideas from. Again, it's what I do as part of my daily, scanning through social media. I'll just kick into Instagram and see 1 or 2 of these and go, oh, that's something I need to do. Or that's a lead that I can follow someplace. So Jonathan Mast, for sure. One of the big tips that I've heard a lot of people really point out is you need to tell an AI what you want it to be or what point of view to come back with an answer from. So if you say, I want you to act as a travel agent and give me a list of recommendations for a family of 4 and a budget of $10,000 on a trip, on a 14-day trip that could take place any place in the world. Okay, it knows it's supposed to be a travel agent, so it's going to act like a travel agent. If you say, I want you to act like a software engineer, okay. Or this is the best. I want you to act as a marketing director and come up with a complete annual marketing plan based on the goals that I will give to you in a moment. It'll come back and say, great. What are those things, the goals that you have? You list the goals, whatever the goals happen to be for this year. And you will be surprised at how it just saved you weeks of time. Not everything's going to be perfect, but some of it's going to be so scarily accurate. You're like, oh my God, if my boss ever sees that ChatGPT did this, I'm going to lose my job. And I go back to what Scott Galloway said. No, no, no. You're not going to lose your job. You're going to keep your job because you're someone who's using AI effectively to be more efficient, to be faster, to be more responsive. Everything that a business wants you to be, AI can help you be. So that would be the probably number one tip. Tell the AI how you want them to answer your question, or from what point of view should you answer that question. I want you to act as a software engineer. I want you to act as a purchasing agent for a commercial trucking business. I want you to act as a mother of three responding to this ad copy. It's amazing what you can get when you ask for it from the point of view of the, the authority that you really want to hear from.
That's wonderful. I love the idea of using AI almost as a testing ground for your ad copy. That's a very unique idea. I haven't even thought of that before. Well, we are, looks like we're about out of time here. I'm going to read one more comment here. Killian hopped in the chat again and said that Futurepedia is a resource they use. I don't know if you've heard about that one, but just wanted to read that one out loud here because that is a resource that Killian was thinking would help all of us. Apparently, it's a good resource to teach about prompts and AI, it sounds like.
Yeah, and again, if you follow any or all of the people you see on screen right now, you're going to get those names of large language models or other AI tools surfaced earlier. And again, I got to go back to one of my final slides, which was you don't have to do everything. You need to do fewer things better. Meaning, don't try every shiny object. If you don't have a video heavy business, don't do the AI video tools. Don't waste, just kind of push that off to the side because that could eat up all your time. Focus on your eggs. My wife likes to say, focus on your eggs, Bob, even though my name's David. Focus on your eggs, Bob. Focus on that which serves you best, or more importantly, serves your customers best. That's what AI can help you with.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, DP, for all your insights today and all this great information. To our viewers, if you want to rewatch any part of today's webinar, you can. We'll be, as a reminder, sending you an email this afternoon once everything has processed. You can also watch this webinar and all of our past webinars at thebbb.org/behindthesign. And at that place, you can also sign up for our upcoming webinar that's going to be on Thursday, July 18th. If you're looking to increase the number of quality leads your business gets, then you're going to want to make sure you sign up for that. Again, the web URL for that is thebbb.org/behindthesign. Thank you all again for tuning in. And right before we say goodbye, DP, where can people learn more about you?
Well, it's funny you asked that question because I pulled the slide up right there. You can follow me at any of the socials at DP Knudten, or go to dpknudten.com for any of that stuff. So again, if you got your screenshot fingers handy, screenshot that, and I would love to hear from you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for your time, DP, and thank you everybody who joined us. We look forward to talking in July. Take care.